So good morning, Charles. Happy
Morning.
to see you again and talk about this updated news release. As you know, we've come out and the report is taking a little bit longer than anticipated, and I wanted shareholders to hear directly from us, the leadership of the company, what's going on, when they can expect an update, and what does this look like? So, I mean, first I'll just start that, all else equal, there's a very tough market, and maybe this is a silver lining in an essence because nothing is moving the market right now. That's not at all what's going on. We're not trying to time the market. We're busy at work, but I think honestly, the copper market's quite weak right now. So maybe this actually turns out to be a benefit. But nonetheless, let's talk about what is going on. Why is it taking longer? And maybe I'll just start by saying, I mean, it's a huge undertaking. But give me your perspective, Charles.
Very much. Well, yeah. Okay. So the bottom line is that yes, we've had delays. It's not that we had delays. It's that it's difficult to predict how long these things take. Okay, because there was no nothing went wrong. There was no okay, we have to stop this and do this other thing. No, there wasn't that. It was just that the amount of work, okay, was so big that and the time it took to compile all this stuff took longer than we were anticipating. That is the bottom line. We finished essentially, for the most part, we finished the compilation at the end of March, kind of when we expected that to happen, in kind of January, February, that we predicted that. But what's taking now longer than expected is the interpretation of the geology. So in the order of things, we recompiled and revalidated all of the historical data. That means we're looking. It took something like 10,000 historical drill holes in the conceptual pit. And that included revalidating every assay, color against the plans and sections of the mine and all that stuff. So it's very fastidious, very long drawn out affair. But the thing is, once that's done, it'll be done. And whatever happens after, we will be able to say, okay, we did this, and it's all kosher, it's all good, it's all prepared, all validated. So we won't have to revisit that. We had done a fair amount of validation, but you got to remember that the original project that we inherited, we had data that came from all kinds of different sources, and it was and we did some validation, but we at that time we were trying to establish if you want, the theoretical economics of the project, whether this thing was going to fly or not. But from the moment that we came out with our resource in 21, it was clear to us that this thing's basically economic, and we can't talk about the financial parameters of the project, but we've done the math, in behind the scenes, and we know this thing is a concern. So from that point on, we had to bite the bullet and say, okay, well, we have to make sure that all of the data, everything's all clean, and let's do it now, because if we don't do it now, we're going to have to do it after the PEA, and that's even worse. So if we do it now, it will say, okay, this project's ready for prime time. We're moving it forward. We know that it has very good economics, and the project, irrespective, in a way, Stephen, irrespective of where the resource falls, okay, this thing is gonna be a good deposit that's gonna travel well through the development process. And so that's why it took a bit longer, but we're there now. We're at the stage at this point where we're doing the geology. We've developed a methodology that combines both manual work and also implicit modeling with Leapfrog, and we're defining the optimized mineralized envelopes around all of the existing veins, and there's lots of them in the deposit. So that's going to be finished probably by mid to late June, and then it's going to be a question of just like crunching the numbers, looking at the variography within each of the main vein envelopes, and then crunching the numbers, start on the report, and as soon as we can confidently say we're 45 days out from publication, we're going to come out with the resource estimate, the news release, and I'm convinced it's going to be it's going to be a very good resource, not just in terms of the quality, but also in terms of the grade and tonnage that we're expecting.
Okay, so the end is near. That is
Yeah, that
clear.
is
I've
near.
obviously been working
Yeah,
very closely with you and our team here, so and
yeah,
I can see that. But I think I think that emphasizes the essence of this whole exercise. I mean, we had that maiden resource that came out in the end of 21. And now what we've done is we've brought a whole resource team in-house, and we've
yep,
really, which we did for a couple reasons. One is to be in control of this whole process, so we're not relying on consultants. Nobody knows this project better than us and better than the
yep,
team that we've put together and that you lead. With Francois as our key resource geologist, he has rebuilt this whole
absolutely.
deposit in a sense and reinterpreted it with the objective of one thing, and that's to be able to go to a producer or somebody who writes a bankable feasibility or any operator, get them into this database, make sure it's of top quality, and that everybody can understand exactly what we're talking about, how we interpreted it. So this is legit. I mean, that is really the crux. No matter what the numbers are, which we have very good confidence in the numbers, this is about building a quality database that is in effect universal for professionals to understand. Is that not the primary objective in your mind?
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is the point. From the moment, okay, in a sense, okay, there's two elements to these projects, right? Initially, it's about the promotion and you want to move it forward. You want to look at the blue sky. You want to you want to dress it up as favorably as possible. But from the moment, okay, from the moment that you convince yourself objectively that the thing's economic, okay, things change, okay, because then it becomes an industrial enterprise. It becomes a case where you need to make your decision based on factual information and state of the art, or if you want, best practice interpretation of the deposit. But it has to sit. That interpretation has to sit on good quality compilation data, and that's where we are. Okay, so we can confidently pass the database now to anybody. If they're not happy with our interpretation, fine, make your own. Okay, make your own, and you make a decision on how this thing works. But we're making our own. Okay, and we're hoping that our independent QP, which we're working very closely with. Obviously, they're independent, but they're not, they're not outside the process. They're inside it. But we're moving forward with these people, we are convinced that we're confident, not just convinced, but confident that our interpretation will be accepted by the independent QP, because they will validate it themselves. They will audit all that stuff themselves, and they will come out with their numbers, and we expect that their numbers are going to be very close to our internal numbers. And so there's two elements to this. There's the size of the deposit, which is going to be obviously conditioned on the historical data, plus the additional 180 holes that we've drilled since the MRE in 2021. And also it's going to be based on the interpretation that we give to the deposit, which is going to be qualitatively different than the interpretation we did in 21. Not that it's going to be better or worse, but it's just because we have more data. And so we do expect that we're going to increase the size of the in-pit deposit, particularly because we drilled quite a few holes in the saddle zone area, where we had only a little bit of mineralization, and that resulted in an upwelling of the pit between Perry and Springer, which is why we call it the saddle zone. Obviously, it's no brainer. But that's going to deepen, and it's going to allow us to deepen the whole pit, because as you know, I've said it many times, our pit bottoms out in ore. And the only reason why the pit stops there is because the strip ratio is becoming excessive for the average grade of the deposit. So that's an area where we're going to gain some tons. And the beauty about that area in the northeast part of the deposit is that any deepening of the pit has no effect on the southern part or on the eastern part where we get close to town. So there's not going to be no impact there. So it's kind of free ore that we're getting from the system. And the other area also that is an ongoing concern. There's two other areas that are of interest, three actually, but the two principal ones are the area between vein number 2 and vein number 3, where there was no mining in there, and the drilling that we did indicate there's quite a bit of stray mineralization, but concentrated in narrow veins that were never wide enough or rich enough to mine. But we'll be able to pick that up, and it's going to be part of the starter pit. And also south of vein number 3, on the southern limit of the deposit, there's areas in there that were never mined, and we did some drilling, and we got some pretty good intersections in there. And not only did we get good intersections, but we're getting pretty good gold grades in the southern part near the Gwillim Fault, as previously explained in one of our older news releases. So there's good reason to believe that our original statement, if you recall, of turning waste into ore, it was a valid statement that we made, and it's gonna work. Some other areas, admittedly, we're gonna refine the envelope, so we may lose a few tons here, gain a few tons there, but overall, I think we're in good shape to increase the size of this thing. But
Good.
we'll know when the numbers come out.
Okay, well, look, Charles, let's leave it there. I just to sort of sum up the report is we have the end is in sight. It's a lot of work. It's going to be a high quality resource, and I'm going to put Charles's contacts and my contacts up there for anybody who wants to ask us specific questions. We're hard at work. We're going to get it out there, and we're certainly looking forward to when that occurs. So, thank you everybody for your time, and we'll be in touch.